Welcome to our lecture on Class Arachnida. In veterinary entomology, the class Arachnida is a critical group of arthropods, including ticks, mites, spiders, and scorpions. For this lecture, we shall focus on two major groups of veterinary importance. We have the mites and the ticks. By the end of this lecture, students will be able to number one, distinguish the arachnids from insects. Two, identify the key morphological features of parasitic arachnids, ticks versus mites. Number three, recognize the major orders of veterinary importance under Acariformes and Parasitiformes. Number four, to understand the life cycles of ticks and mites. And number five, list key diseases vectored or caused by arachnids in animals. We can classify the members of the phylum Arthropoda into two major classes. The first class is the class Insecta, and the second class is the class Arachnida. So under the class Insecta, we have, for example, the lice and the fleas, which have a major veterinary significance. And for the arachnids, we have the ticks and the mites. So this presentation will focus on the two major groups. Under the class Arachnida, we have the ticks and the mites. The ticks and the mites belong to the phylum Arthropoda because they have jointed feet, subphylum Chelicerata because they possess chelicerae in their mouthparts, and class Arachnida. The members of the class Arachnida with the greatest medical and veterinary importance are those belonging to the subclass Acari, which includes the ticks and the mites. The diagram shows an example of the ticks. So we have here an unfed female tick, and we also have here an engorged tick. And we also have here a diagram or a picture of a representative mite. Arachnids possess distinct morphological features that separate them from other arthropods. In terms of the body segments, so they have two body divisions, the natosoma and the idiosoma. The diagram shows the general morphology of the subclass Acari, particularly of the adult Amblyomma spp. So as shown in the diagram, we have the natosoma or the capitulum as the first body segment, and the other one is the idiosoma. The idiosoma is the main body region of the arachnid, particularly that of the mites and the ticks. It bears the legs and the genital openings and the sensory structures. It also acts as a combined abdominal and thoracic region containing physiological systems. Their outer body covering is known as the integument, which consists of the cuticle and the epidermis. Another key characteristic is the legs. For the adults and the nymph, we have four pairs of legs or 8 legs in total, and 3 pairs of legs in the larvae. The diagram shows the 3 life stages of the longhorn tick size relative to the head of the insect pin. So this is the insect pin. So the 3 life stages include the larva, the nymph, and the adult. For the smallest life stage, we have the larva. This is a bit smaller compared to the head of the insect pin. So it has 6 legs or 3 pairs of legs. In terms of the size, it is followed by the nymph with 8 legs, and the largest is the adult with again 8 legs. For the appendages, so we are going to compare them with the insects, so they lack antennae and wings. For the mouth parts, they have the chelicerae. The chelicerae functions for biting and feeding. So as shown in the diagram, for the mouth parts, we have the chelicerae located above the hypostome. And we also have the pedipalps or the palps, and this is paired, and it functions for sensory. They are also mostly terrestrial predators or ectoparasites. The mites and the ticks are characterized as having the hemimetabolous type of life cycle or incomplete life cycle. The life stages include the eggs, the larvae, the nymph, and the adults. For the eggs, they are laid in the environment. The larvae are 6 legged, as shown in the diagram. The nymphs are 8 legged stage, often resembling adults, but they are smaller. They are a differentiation between stages is based on the size, the host, as well as the season. For the adults, they are also eight-legged. And in this diagram, you have here the male adult tick, and we also have here the female adult tick. These are the key differences between the insects and the arachnids. So for the body segments, we have three for the insects, the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. For the arachnids, we have the natosoma and the idiosoma for the mites and the ticks. For the number of legs, we have six legs for the insects, eight legs for the arachnids. For the antennae, we have it is present in the insects while it is absent in the arachnids. For the wings, so many insects have wings. They have no wings for the arachnids. There are more than 1 million described species for the insects, while there are over 100,000 named species for the arachnids. The ticks and the mites belong to the subclass Acari or the Acarina, and under this subclass we have two major superorders, the Parasitiformes and the Acariformes. The order Ixodida or the ticks is under the superorder Parasitiformes, whereas the orders Astigmata and the Prostigmata or the mites are under the superorder Acariformes. The ticks are obligate hematophagous ectoparasites of vertebrates. For the key morphological features, we are going to start with the capitulum. The capitulum is the head part containing the mouth parts. So the mouth parts include the chelicerae, the hypostome, and the pedipalps or the palps. We also have the scutum. The scutum is the hard dorsal shield. This is present in hard ticks, absent in soft ticks. The key families of ticks include the hard ticks and the soft ticks. So the hard ticks belong to the Ixodidae family, while the soft ticks belong to the Argacidae family. Examples of hard ticks include Ixodes, Rhipicephalus, and the Dermacentor. Examples of soft ticks include the Argas, Ornithodorus, and the Otobius. So for the differences between the hard tick and the soft tick, so as shown in the diagram, you have here the presence of the shield or the scutum for the hard tick. So this is absent in the soft tick. Another major difference is the visibility of the mouth part. The mouth part of the hard tick is visible from the top, while the mouth part of the soft tick is hidden or not visible from the top view. In terms of the key characteristics of the hard ticks, so number one is the presence of the scutum. So both the male and the female have the scutum. For the capitulum, we have here, when we are going to compare that with the soft ticks, so the capitulum is visible from the top. In terms of the feeding, blood feeding is considered to be long-term for the hard ticks. It will take about days. And there is also a high reproductive rate, meaning that single batch will lay about 1,000 eggs. For the soft ticks, the scutum is absent and they are replaced with a leathery cuticle. For the capitulum is hidden dorsally. It can be seen ventrally. For the feeding, there is a rapid and intermittent feeding that will take about minutes to hours, unlike that of the hard tick, which will take about days. And in terms of the habitat, they live in nests and burrows, so they are generally endophilic. The key life stages of ticks include the egg, the larva, the nymph, and the adult. For the larva, they have six legs or three pairs of legs. For the nymph, they have eight legs, and for the adults, they have eight legs. For the three host ticks, the larva usually feeds on small mammals. The nymph usually feeds on small and medium-sized mammals, and the females, or rather the adult ticks, usually feed on large and medium-sized mammals and humans. In terms of the life cycle, the ticks can be classified into either one host, two host or three host ticks. For the one host ticks, the entire development take place on one animal. So an example of this is the Rhipicephalus microplus. So for example, in this diagram, also this is an example of a one host exoded tick. The larvae will remain on the host and become adults. So the larvae will molt into nymph, and the nymph will molt into adult um, in one host. So that is an example of a one host tick. For the two host ticks, the two animals, so there are two animals involved in the life cycle. This is exemplified by the genus Hyaloma. So as shown in the diagram, we have here the first host, the rabbit. So the larvae will become nymph on the first host after one molt. Then the engorged nymph will leave the host, so it will drop off, and the nymph will molt into adults and overwinter of a host. Then after that, the adults will attach to the second host for feeding and mating. So in this case, this is a larger animal, and after engorgement, the the adult will drop off and it will lay its eggs. So as you can see here, it will take a longer time for it to complete its life cycle, about 2 years. The next is the three host stakes. So for the life cycle of three host stakes, so each stage, the nymph, the larvae, the nymph and the adults will feed on a different host. This is exemplified by the Exodus scapularis. So this type of life cycle is considered to be the most common. Most stakes of public health importance follow this pattern. So, for example, the causative agent of Lyme borreliosis, the Exodus, follow this pattern. We also have the causative agent of the Rocky Mountain spotted fever, or rather the vector of the Rocky Mountain spotted fever, the amblyoma, the dermacentor, as well as the rhipicephalus follow this pattern. So as shown in the diagram, you have here the larvae attaching to and feeding on the first host. Then it will drop off and molt into the nymph. After leaving the host, then it will attach to a second host in spring. Then the nymph will molt into the adult after leaving the second host. Then after that, the adult will attach to the third host in the spring for feeding and mating. So as you can see here, the first, we have here a different set host for the first, the second, and the third stages. Now the larvae, the nymph, and the adult. We also have here, it can also be seen that it will take a longer time for the completion of the life cycle of this tick. So in this pattern, we have here 3 years for it to be completed. So for the significance of the unfed ticks can survive for months or years without feeding. So the the ticks are considered to be resilient because the unfed ticks can develop or can survive for months and years without feeding. These are the veterinary importance and the major um, pathogens that are vectored by the ticks. So for the veterinary importance, so ticks being hematophagous can cause anemia in severe infestation. They can also cause tick worry or stress. The neurotoxins in their saliva, particularly that of Ixodes holocyclus in Australia, can cause an ascending type of flaccid paralysis or tick paralysis. They are also second only to mosquitoes in transmitting diseases such as protozoa, bacteria, and viruses, and these are transmitted by their saliva. So the babesia, which is a type of protozoa that they carry, can cause babesiosis. Ehrlichia can, of course, be the causative agent of ehrlichiosis, and Borrelia can transmit Lyme disease. We also have the anaplasma causing anaplasmosis. For the mites belong to the superorder Acariformes. They are microscopic and they can be free-living or parasitic. In terms of their morphology, so they have the same morphology with that of the ticks. Their body are divided into two segments. We have the natosoma or the capitulum and the idiosoma. The parasitic mites are divided into different families. The first is the Sarcoptidae. These are burrowing mites, and example of this is the Sarcoptes cabae. We also have the family Sauroptidae. These are non-burrowing or surface mites, and examples of this are the genus Sauroptes and Otodectes. We also have the Demodecidae. So these are the follicle mites, and example of this is the genus Demodex. Starting with the burrowing mites, we have the Sarcoptes cabae. Sarcoptes cabae is a causative agent of the sarcoptic mange. For its primary host, this include dogs, pigs, cattle, and humans. So basically, the Sarcoptes cabae is zoonotic. For the clinical signs observed include intense pruritus or intense itching. There is also alopecia and crusting, and as the name suggests, this mite burrows into the epidermis. Another burrowing mite is the Notoedres cati. Its primary host are the cats, and it causes face and ear mange. Another group are the surface mites. So under this, we have the Sauroptes ovis, which causes sheep scab. So they are non-burrowing and they feeds on surface skin fluids. They also cause severe dermatitis and wool loss. So some of the signs include frequent rubbing against the fences and wool tags on the wire. Another surface mite is the Otodectes cynotes, also known as the ear mite. So they are common in dogs and cats, particularly in the ear canal. And for the signs include the presence of a dark coffee ground discharge, as well as intense itching. Another group are the follicle mites of the genus Demodex. So the Demodex canis, Demodex cati, and the bovis are the causative agent of demodectic mange. Take note that Demodex are common or commensal inhabitant of the hair follicles and the sebaceous glands. They are the disease occurs when host immunity is lowered or when the hosts are immunocompromised, and the disease is known as demodicosis. So the infestation can be classified as localized for puppies or generalized. So this group are also known as follicle mites because, as shown in the diagram, the Demodex canis inhabits particularly the hair follicles. For the diagnosis, so this includes the direct visualization for the ticks. For the mites, this involves skin scrapings, deep skin scraping for the modex, superficial skin scraping for Sarcoptes, the ear swabs for Otodectes, and the presence of walking dandruff for Keletiella. For the treatment and control, we have the use of acaricides that can be either spot-on sprays or collars. We also have the oral isoxazolines, the NexGard, which is the apoxolaner chewables, and we also have the Bravecto, Frulalener, and these are considered to be highly effective against ticks and mites. We also have the environmental control, which includes removing the leaf litter for ticks. For the summary, arachnids have 8 legs, 2 body segments, and no antennae and no wings. Ticks are large blood-sucking ectoparasites, and they are also important disease vectors. Mites are microscopic. They cause mange. The, the mite species can either be burrowing, surface, or follicular. Diagnosis relies on careful clinical examination and skin scrapings, and proactive ectoparasite control is crucial for animal welfare and zoonotic disease prevention.